back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to show you how I make spaghetti. And basically I start with a pound of whatever ground meat I happen to have on hand. This happens to be ground pork. You can also use ground turkey, ground beef, or even sausage. I usually take the sausage out of the casings and fry it up like ground meat. So let me get this going. I've already got the water on to boil because it takes a while. Whoops.
You just slid right out.
Yep. And then I've got some onion and some celery. I had some celery that was needing to be used up, and celery and onion are good fried up with ground meat to go in spaghetti sauce. So I'm just going to put that all in the pot together. And let me throw this over here. We have to keep the trash out of the way because we have a four-legged trash panda that lives in our kitchen.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, she's our trash panda. And basically, what I use usually is I used canned pasta sauce.
Is it any kind of pasta sauce?
Whatever I happen to have on hand.
Okay.
It's very variable. The core recipe is ground meat, onion, celery, if you've got it. And then once it's all cooked, I'll drain it to get rid of the fat. Then I'll add in the sauce and the diced tomatoes. I may or may not use the second can of tomatoes because I like a really saucy spaghetti. I don't like dry noodles where there's not enough sauce to go around because oftentimes the sauce tastes good on the garlic bread or the vegetables, whatever you've got cooking. So let me break this up a little bit and then I'll show you how I make garlic bread. Because oftentimes I have a core idea of how I make something and then I adapt it to whatever ingredients I have on hand that can work with that recipe idea. You need to be a little flexible in your kitchen. You have an idea, you have your usual way of doing something. You take stock of what ingredients you've got on hand and figure out how to adapt it for what you've got on hand. You just don't overthink it, you're just cooking dinner. I've learned to be flexible, and for garlic bread, I take whatever bread I happen to have on hand that needs to be used up, be it French bread, buns. Sometimes I'll even use the heels from a loaf of bread that nobody really wants to eat. So, these are just some buns that have been sitting around for about a week. So
Ballpark hot dog buns.
Yep. So, let me stir this up. Oftentimes in the kitchen, I am multitasking. You can do other stuff. You can do multiple things while other parts of your recipe are cooking up. So, I'm just going to do that, get it out of the bag easily. So take some of those out of the way. And I have a paring knife because I do not like wrestling with buns. And you always want to make sure you keep your hands out of the path of the knife because it's much easier to be careful than to pay for stupidity. Just like people who cut a bagel in their hand like this, like they're playing a violin. Yeah. And then they wonder why they get cut. It drives me nuts when I see people doing that. I'm like, are you playing with fire?
No, they're playing with knives.
Those are the same type of people that run red lights and then wonder why they end up in accidents. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen. I just had to get to work on time, so I ran a red light. I could go on many rants.
Yes, we're cooking.
Yes.
So you just take the hot dog buns and you just kind of like separate them and split them open and.
Yep.
And I do want to say that these are actually pretty easy and tasty ways of having garlic bread. It's just having those hot dog buns that are left over from the barbecue.
Yeah. This one wasn't really split at all. They must have learned how to cut pizza from Costco. Well, you know how with Costco pizza, it's complete hit or miss. Sometimes it can be sliced in normal slices. Sometimes it's just like they closed their eyes and went for it. Let me stir this up a little bit. And I've also got some cauliflower on the cook.
Cauliflower.
Yep. Had some cauliflower that needed to be used up, so it's going to join us for dinner. In our bellies. Alright. So now that I've got that done, let me get a scraper. And these are like $2 at Target, and they've been the most handy scrapers. And they've held up really well. And I prefer mayonnaise on my garlic bread rather than butter. I find it has more flavor. Personal preference, kind of like pineapple on pizza. If you don't like mayonnaise, don't have a hernia, just use butter instead. Or if you're not a butter person, use whatever you would spread on toast.
I put peanut butter.
Well, yeah.
I put peanut butter on my
that
toast.
wouldn't quite work. Like butter, margarine, dairy-free margarine, whatever floats your boat. I prefer mayonnaise, so that's what I'm using.
Could you use oil, like maybe olive oil, or?
You could. I just like the flavors that are in mayonnaise. And Dahlia's watching me. You can tell we go through a lot of mayonnaise because this is a big jar from about a month ago, or less than. Of course, it went in some macaroni salad, which was on another episode that we did. So I'm just going to scrape this jar. And in our household, we have the hidden rule that if you have more than one jar of something, you have to have both of them open. So since I have a spare jar of mayonnaise in the cabinet, I have it completely hidden. Because I don't like having multiple jars of the same thing in the refrigerator or in the cabinet at the same time. Because Tyler is notorious for opening up a brand new jar of peanut butter every time he wants to get a taste of peanut butter. Kind of like Bruno Mars and his line, you know, in the first jar of Skippy.
Pressure the, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how he views life. He wants to get that very first swipe off the top of peanut butter.
Hey, it's going on pretty good.
Yeah. So, just going to break that up a little bit. Then I'm going to get back to the garlic bread. And the best part of garlic bread, if you can get the damn jar open. Alright, let me get the oven going. Everything's cooking at the same time. I'm going to cook the garlic bread at 425. I had 2 spoons out. Where did they go? Okay, they're underneath the bag. Alright. So, what I normally do, I just put a plop of garlic on each section of bread. I like garlic. If you don't like garlic, well, you wouldn't be eating garlic bread then, would you? But
Be a vampire.
yeah. So that's that. And I'm going to put a tiny bit of garlic salt because I like the savory of garlic salt. And then, oh, where is it? I have all kinds of garlic seasoning. Garlic and herb seasoning, okay. Well, I'll do it left-handed so you all can see me sprinkling seasoning on here. Just gonna sprinkle it on here, then I'm gonna spread it around. And then I got a little bit of Parmesan. So take the spatula, scraper, spatula, different verbiages, same thing. So I'm going to spread that around. Again, you're not being grated on it. It just needs to be spread out a little bit. I like garlic bread, so I put lots of garlic on it. So then I'm going to, this Parmesan got a little chunky sitting in the cabinet. All right. Put a little bit of Parmesan on there. It adds a nice savory crunch. So now I'm going to put this in the oven. Move dog. I'm going to have that cook at 425, probably take about 15-20 minutes. And looks like this is all done. Alright.
Looks like your cauliflower's coming along pretty good over here. And your water's boiling for your spaghetti.
So I'm going to get the pasta going first. Because, the pasta sauce going first. Because that way it can simmer while the pasta's cooking. So this really doesn't have that much grease in it. So I'm just going to absorb it with a paper towel. It's already gotten a little done on the end here, so whoops. Let me throw this in the trash. Alright. And I've turned down the heat a little bit because the sauce will spatter once I put it in there if the heat's up too high. So it's gonna spatter, so just brace yourself. It'll cool off in just a minute. Alright.
Now, just out of curiosity, you put in some diced tomatoes.
Yeah.
Now, why do you use the diced tomatoes?
I like the texture. I'm the type of person who likes multiple textures in food.
Okay. And I say you put about a spoonful of garlic in there too.
Yes, you gotta have garlic.
Gotta have garlic.
Garlic and herb seasoning with black pepper and sea salt. You can also use Italian seasoning. Whatever seasoning you have on hand that would go well with. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. Where is the tomato seasoning?
Is that it right there?
Oh, it's right here.
Perfect.
And this is from the Dollar Tree. I found it to be really good. It's tomato basil seasoning. It works really well on anything that has tomatoes in it. So, all right.
Now, just out of curiosity again, could you like put any other type of vegetables in there? Because I remember we used to sometimes put spinach in there in order to get the kids to eat their vegetables.
It's very variable. Whatever you like, you can put in there.
Hey, it was delicious, huh?
Oh, I just like canned spinach flowers. Alright, gonna get all the goodness out of the can. I'm gonna stir this up, and I think that's saucy enough. I don't think I'll add the extra jar of tomatoes. I'm gonna stir this up.
So that was 2 jars of tomato sauce and 2 cans of tomato sauce and 1 can of diced tomatoes.
2 cans of pasta sauce, which are 15 ounces. It just depends. If you get the jars of pasta sauce and they're like 20 ounces or 24, you may want 2, you may want 1, just depending upon how saucy you like your spaghetti. Diced tomatoes, I like that for some texture. So we're gonna let that simmer. And it looks like the cauliflower is about done, so I'm gonna turn it off and let it steam for the rest. And, as Dolly is like, where's that water coming from? It's very important that you salt your water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the salt in my hand, then dump it in the water. Mainly because if I hold the salt over the pot, the moisture will get in here and make the salt clumpy.
Ooh.
And it will get all over the stove because the steam and the air pressure, over time you learn how to make things easier. I'm going to put a fair bit, like a tablespoon maybe, because you want it to be the consistent, like the salinity of seawater. when you're cooking potatoes or pasta. And this is a 2-pound pack of pasta that I've made spaghetti from previously. So I just fastened it. It's important to keep things tightly closed so they stay fresh. And, whoops, what I'm going to do is just take this and put this in a mug. And what I like to do is break the spaghetti in half. Again, it's personal preference. I like it better this way. That's the way I do it, you know. And there's some noodles falling in the sauce, but that's okay. It's all gonna go together in the end. Again, you take a core idea and you adapt it to the ingredients you have on hand. And you just put dinner together. This is our Friday night supper after a busy work week. That's just what we're having for dinner, and we thought we'd bring you along for the ride. Because I don't think I've shown you guys how to make my spaghetti. And as you can tell, our kitchen tools get used well. This one has a heat burn on it. Because, you know, you've heard the expression flying too close to the sun.
Yeah.
A comparable one is laying too close to the stove.
Yeah.
Alright, so make sure you like and subscribe and share to your friends, and we're going to let the noodles cook and the pasta sauce simmer, and we'll bring you back when everything is ready. Now the spaghetti noodles are done, and the sauce is done, the cauliflower's done, and the garlic bread's done. So,
it all smells good.
yes, so while we were on hold and everything else was cooking, I have now drained the spaghetti. And I drained the cauliflower.
Nice.
And finished off the sauce. I added a little bit more seasoning to the sauce, so I like it more of a robust flavor. The garlic bread's done. It takes between 15 to 20 minutes for garlic bread to cook.
And what's funny, it looks like garlic bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're just hot dog buns.
You just have to exercise resourcefulness.
So you drain them in this colander here?
Yeah.
And how do you know when you're, just out of curiosity, how do you know when your pasta's done?
Well, I fish out one noodle at a time and taste it.
Okay.
And if it's al dente, which means firm to the bite, I usually wait another minute or so and then I drain it. Because I don't want it to be mushy, but I don't want it to be crunchy, so it's kind of a fine line.
And just out of curiosity, how long do you think that takes to cook the noodles?
I don't know. I've never really timed it. I cook basically by my nose and experience. But I would say probably about 12 minutes, I think.
Okay.
Because it usually says on the back of the pasta wrapper. So, what I'm going to do now, I prefer to mix the sauce and the noodles together.
Okay.
And that's mainly because if I leave the sauce and the noodles separate in the fridge, our oldest child will eat the spaghetti sauce like it's a bowl of chili, and then we have a tub of dry noodles. So, I've just decided when I serve it, I'm going to put it all together. So, I'm just going to put that in there. Because the diameter of the skillet is larger than the diameter of the pot, I'm going to spoon it in there, or else I'll end up pouring sauce on the counter, which is another mess to clean up. So,
And you hate messes to clean it.
yeah, because I'm usually the one who gets to clean them up. Alright, if I can avoid messes, I avoid messes. And if you have to put a hot pot on your countertop, be mindful of your countertop, because some countertops cannot take heat. But what I do is I always put a towel or a cooling rack on the counter to serve as a buffer between the hot pot and the counter. So this spaghetti dinner will show you how you can pull a dinner together. You put the longest cooking item on first. In this case, it was setting the noodles on the pasta water on to boil first, followed by the vegetables. And if you put a lid on the water that you're cooking your pasta in, the water will boil faster because it serves like convection. It gets the heat in there and it boils faster. So always put a lid on your pot when you're waiting for water to boil. It even works when you're getting vegetables ready to cook. So that'll speed things up. So get your pasta water going first with a lid on. Get your vegetables going. Then make your sauce. And while the meat is browning, make the garlic bread. So you just have to take the longest cooking item first, start that, then go down to the items that take less amount of time. That's how you can pull a meal together with many different items. So we've got our spaghetti and our garlic bread. So let me fix a plate. And Logan, if you want to come in here. Where'd everybody go? Everybody's hungry. It's late. All right. And we got a piece of garlic bread. Whoops, that's hot.
Well, yeah, you just got off the...
I know. I don't have Teflon fingers like some people. Okay. And I'm going to get a slotted spoon to scoop up the cauliflower. And broccoli, green beans, any green vegetable is really good with spaghetti. I just happen to have cauliflower, so that's what became dinner. And let's get some Parmesan on it. And put that on there. And since Logan's not out here, you can be our taste tester.
I can be the taste tester. Cool deal.
Yes. But remember, it's hot. So you got to blow on it.
I'm going to start with the cauliflower.
Yeah. We got our nice messy countertop in the back. We are a busy family.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
The
Step this way a little bit.
cauliflower. Yes, Miss Director. Cauliflower is actually very soft. Not just a tiny bit crunchy.
Yeah. I don't like squishy vegetables. So I cook them al dente also. So what do you think? A nice yummy spaghetti dinner?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay. Taste the garlic bread. The screen went dark. But it's blinking.
It's very good.
Very good.
Very good.
All right. So. Well, here's to another yummy dinner for my family. Thank you again for joining us. So make sure you like and subscribe and share to your friends and give us your feedback and give us ideas on what foods you'd like to see me prepare or recipes to try. So have a great evening and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, and neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.